Okay, I guess we could get started. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess first I'll go over the timeline of like what we have planned, and then we could go over the release, or Buffer can help go over the release of what was released today, and then could do any other questions or anything anybody else wants to talk about. But if you have questions during the other parts, feel free to raise your hand. So as for the timeline, we're hoping to release the GUI wallet soon. We're just trying, we have something, but we're just trying to make it as solid and as easy as possible for people to use, so that, like, for example, they don't have to install and run a Bitcoin full node and also spaces and then run the GUI wallet. Like, we want to make it easy so that somebody could just install the wallet and then they can use it really simply. So we're working on that, hoping to release that soon. We just released today this Fabric stuff that Buffer will talk about, and then after that, the pretty much like the final stage of like the original vision that we had when we first started working on this protocol is, so we'll do subspaces. We'll make it so that we could do subspaces. We'll have a standardized way to do that and software to do that. So, and then at that point, I feel like we will have a really solid foundation for this protocol. And then at that point, it'll be all about kind of like building on it, building integrations and building it and making it useful, like just developing cool things for it. So that is pretty much the plan going forward. And so yeah, Buffer, do you want to talk about the release today?
Yes. So up until now, the only thing that you could do is just bid on spaces and own a space, which are like they're like sovereign handles, and essentially act as a memorable public key. They just make it easier to like share your identity, and someone could resolve that and get a public key. And with this, you could do lots of cool stuff. So Fabric is essentially like, I mean, if you think about BitTorrent and how you have those content hashes that you could share and then download content based on those long hashes, Fabric essentially gives you the ability to share content with your sovereign handle. So you could query records for @Bitcoin, and eventually it will also support querying records for subspaces. It just gives you a way to like connect with others on a peer-to-peer network and signing things with your sovereign handle. And this release also makes the integration much more like it works a lot better with Nostr now. So we have adopted the event format for Nostr events. So you could even like sign messages with your wallet, like sign notes, and post them on a Fabric relay, and it will work right now. It will. I mean, and for Fabric, like for Nostr clients, it will just show your spaces public key, but eventually, like once Nostr clients support spaces, they will just show your handle. And so I guess with this Fabric release will enable a lot of like cool features and integrations that you could build on top of it. And it also solves like a relay discovery problem for Nostr. So let's say you have an npub and you could share it with someone, and if that person doesn't know where your content is stored, like on which relay, they may not be able to like find it at all. So with Fabric, it essentially acts as a universal relay for discovery. So you could publish a relay list for your public key on Fabric and then query it and be able to get a list of relays for that user. And that essentially makes Nostr much more decentralized. So there's lots of cool stuff that could be built on top of Fabric, and a lot of like low-hanging fruit. And I hope people get to build them.
Yeah, cool. So that in that besides Nostr, you could also store like DNS with it, right? So you could
Yes, correct. I mean, there is an example in the docs for how to, I mean, in the new release, there is a sign zone command. So you could put your DNS records, sign it. It will give you a packet that is ready for publishing to Fabric. And you could query it with Beam, which is like a distributed like dig for DNS.
okay, cool. Yeah, so basically this is a way to so we have decentralized space, decentralized names on Bitcoin, so you can actually own your name, and now you can also store data on on that name, and that data could be used for like Nostr or anything really, or DNS or other things. And so this solves a problem with so I think it's npub, right? And also BIP 353. So I think it's npub, which is, so it's usernames for Nostr, but currently the best solution that they have until now, I think, is using DNS. And also with BIP 353, it's the same thing with human readable Bitcoin wallet addresses. Matt Corello determined with a really thoughtful write-up that DNS is the best solution right now. But he admits that it's not a great solution because DNS is completely centralized. The domain name system is completely centralized. So this is a way to do those things in a self-sovereign way where you control it, nobody else controls it. It's the cypherpunk, it's the cypherpunk way with Bitcoin. Like, instead of having registrars and registries and stuff in between, like banks with Bitcoin, you don't need that. You have control of it yourself. So yeah, this release will be really helpful. And then when we have subspaces too, we'll be able to store data on them in the same way as that Fabric's doing with top level spaces now. So yeah, so I guess, does anybody have any questions? Or anybody want to say anything? I think you raise your hand if you want to do that. Last time somebody wanted to ask a question, but I disconnected too quickly because I didn't see somebody raising their hand. So I'll wait a while here.
Okay. I approved someone that. Are you able to talk? I think primary user sent a request.
Yeah. I see them listed as speaker, but...
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, it's Andrew. How you doing? So I have been looking at the project pub key, and I think it kind of complements what we're doing with spaces. It's taken a bit of a different tact, but they still haven't tackled a kind of a human readable sort of address scenario. And the only reason I really bring them up is because they have already built the DNS resolver that I think could be extended for spaces resolution in addition to their own pub key resolution. And that way you could have something running that would resolve all scenarios and any other DNS stuff as needed, right? As long as you pointed to that service first in your resolution. So this, and then you might talk to with your old browser experience, but writing the resolution kind of in a browser plugin, while it's a way to go, it's kind of difficult. Difficult to get people to adopt it and use it, install it, trust it, etc. I don't know. Any thoughts along this way? Unless you have another approach to kind of building some sort of resolution mechanism.
I think a resolver is definitely helpful, especially if people can install it on their like local like Raspberry Pi or like those type of devices like the Start9 thing. Yeah, I think that would be like a good direction. And I think also one of the priorities should be like a nosternib as well. Maybe we could like work on that and maybe write a draft one and just experiment with it.
All right, well that ended somehow. What's up with that? Let's see if I can get back in. No? Damn. All right, so it just ended abruptly. Like that. That stinks. I had some questions. I had some questions. All right, we'll hang out here for a second and see if they come back. I could edit this out, or I could just leave it in, you know? Technical difficulties. Somebody lost internet. Damn it! No, I know. Yeah, it's not us. It was whoever's hosting. It was either Mike or Buffer. Yo, dudes, lost connection. All right, so I don't know if they could reopen it or not. Buffer was going somewhere with that. This pub key integration. I think the pub key, they're doing like decentralized servers, I believe. So there's a lot, man. There's a lot going on in this space. There's a ton of stuff. And it's super early. And really not a lot of people care, too. That's the crappy part. People don't really care. People don't even care about... people don't even care about Bitcoin and like getting traction for Bitcoin. Is super hard even now. But imagine what it was like back in the day. This is why Bitcoin was a penny, $1, because no one cared. Now people are like, oh, they want it, but this is how it is. This is how it is in the beginning stages, the early stages of adoption of these new technologies. All right, so I guess that's it. Dang, that kind of stinks. Was hoping that was going to go somewhere. Can we relaunch this thing? Refresh? No, that's just it. Spaces. Toasted. All right, well, I'll still post this. I'll still put it up there. And 10 people tuned in. Hey, I think we had like 6 people last month. So people are coming little by little, trickling in. I had some questions, though. That kind of stinks. I guess I could just ask him in the Telegram. So I guess there's just no way to reopen. All right, if there is, I'll start a new recording. I'll just patch it in here. But if not, that's it. Check out spacesprotocol.org. Later. All right, here we go. Here we go. We're back. Part 2.
Hey. So yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It just quit. I was running it on my phone, so I don't know if that had something to do with it. I'm running it on my computer now.
Yes, so Andrew, I think DNS is a good direction. I think Noster is also a good direction. I probably think, like, at least initially, Noster should be the higher priority because, I mean, with websites, it's challenging because you need a lot of content to essentially make browsing spaces useful, and you need people to like set up their resolvers to get it to work. But if we could get adoption for Noster, and that should be like our short-term focus, I think that's like a good initial direction. Yes.
Yeah, I got you, Buffer. The when I've explored the Nostr clients, they all tend to be complete like client-side processes. So they're working per component that they're interacting with, and so that means that the resolution would have to completely reside within the browser context. Not that this is impossible. It's just that it's it's a little more tricky. I was looking for the quickest hit, right? Something you could quickly download and then your system would just understand or start using it. As Mike mentioned, the npub is a way for relay discovery. Unfortunately, everybody currently uses DNS to describe their relays, right? I think, and this is kind of off topic, but I think that if Nostr community, especially the relay operators, wanted to be even more decentralized, less reliant on anything centralized, then we should be expressing our relays as like IP addresses directly, and not as domain names. But that's, again, that's another topic. But I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, and I agree that the Nostr community is going to be the most receptive to this technology that you guys are building.
Yeah, I mean, I think since Fabric uses like UDP, it would be hard for clients to directly query it. But I was thinking maybe we could have a concept of like Fabric relays or discovery relays for Noster. So So essentially they would work on just like a regular relay, maybe over WebSockets, and they would act as a caching layer for the DHT. And perhaps this way, if the relay serves the proofs and the signed Nostr events, then a Nostr client would just query it just like any Nostr event, and they would be able to like resolve the spaces. So maybe maybe that's something that we could discuss, or maybe even like write a draft nib and explaining like how to support this as in the like simplest way possible, so that we could get our first Nostr integration.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think eventually it would need to be its own NIP, because I think it's effectively a separate mechanism. And it, my first initial efforts were, is there a way to hijack sort of the mechanism behind npub without using DNS directly? Was my first kind of thought. But yeah, I think in a broader sense, you're right, that having it kind of built into the relay discovery mechanism for the client, and utilizing it when available in conjunction with other mechanisms would make for the most robust situation.
Yeah, and also one issue with the npub is you need like an HTTP server.
And right, to host it. Yeah. The
Yeah,
JSON, exactly.
and it's a lot to ask from users to have to set up a server and do all of this. They could put some kind of key in the like kind zero metadata, and it would essentially just be the spaces handle.
Mm-hmm.
And if an author client has this fabric relay, they could query it, verify that it is signed, and they would essentially just show the space. I think that's simpler for most users.
Mm-hmm. I see. Yep.
With domains, it's probably much easier to run an HTTP server because there's lots of services already. But for spaces as handles, I think it's much harder.
Yeah, I agree. Sounds good. I don't have anything else right at the moment. But if you want to, if there's other things you're discussing, please continue.
I guess that's it.
Yeah, unless anybody else, I'll give a couple minutes. I don't know if anybody else wants to. Last time I cut somebody off too early, so just want to make sure I don't do that.
Yeah, let me in, bro. Let me in. All right. Allow that puppy.
All right.
Well,
Yo. There we go. Hey.
Hey, we can hear you.
Okay. Hey, so first of all, I just want to say, Mike, Buffer, thank you for all your hard work. You guys are doing a great job. This protocol has come a long way, so definitely want to say thank you. I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Thanks. Yeah, we appreciate your videos too, so good job with that.
Yeah, definitely. No problem. Trying to help where I can. So I have a couple questions. Number one, are spaces compatible with Lightning addresses?
You will eventually be able to resolve spaces to a Lightning address or even a silent payment address or a Bitcoin address. I guess we just don't have a standard yet defined for resolving these kinds of records.
Okay, that's good news. That's good news. Yeah, I agree with Andrew and you as well on the Noster. That's like the lowest hanging fruit, I think. You get the Noster folks in here because as it stands now with this new Fabric release, we can use our spaces, but I believe you said it's just going to show our public key. It's not actually going to resolve the human readable space name just yet.
Oh, you could. So you could sign things with your human readable name and publish it on Fabric, and then other people will be able to resolve your content through your space or sovereign handle.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to look
so
into
yeah,
that.
yeah, so you should be you should be able to use your name, your space name. So this is a way to like store data on your name and use it. So
Okay, I'll have to go through those the instructions. I saw that it was added to the quick start guide, so that's cool. And also another question: can we use the top level spaces without leading subspaces?
Yes, I mean, currently we only have the top level spaces, and you could sign with them. And eventually, when we have subspaces, you will still be able to, like, even if you issue subspaces, you will still be able to use your top level space, just like right now.
Okay, so you could have at Carson as just a space, and then you could also have Mike at Carson or anyone at Carson as well.
Correct. Yeah, it will probably be very cool for people to use their top level space. It would be a good like show off since there's only like 3,600 of them, and they will like gradually become harder to get.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So if we can just use the top level spaces, they're going to be even more valuable. That makes them even better. So that's good news. And another question, I was reading through the stuff where it says it's experimental, where you could do the space CLI send 1000 dash dash to at Bob to send somebody some Bitcoin. Can you send from that command line Bitcoin to an exterior wallet?
You mean to a non-Spaces wallet?
Yeah, let's just say BC1, just a random Bitcoin address. I just wanted to send Bitcoin from my Spaces wallet to someone else, but I'm using just the long string, the BC1 address.
Yes. So if they own a space and they could set their space to whatever address, and that address will receive the payment. And this will be like much more flexible as we like define a new standard for resolving with all the other like Lightning, silent payments, and all of the other address types.
Okay, but what if I wanted to send it to somebody that didn't have a space yet? I just wanted to send it to their Bitcoin wallet or some address.
Oh yeah, you could. Oh, you mean send the space itself or send money?
No, send money, send Bitcoin, not the space.
Yeah, you could do this right now. And instead of like typing to and then the space name, you could put in a Bitcoin address, and you could send them money like that.
Okay, cool. All right, that's good. So I could just do space CLI, send 1,000,000, and then just put the Bitcoin address, and that's it.
Yes, it's all Bitcoin, so it will work.
Okay,
Out of
cool.
the
All right,
box.
that's good. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, and it also works, if you send it to like your space, you could send, so you could do send, a certain amount of Bitcoin to at Carson. I've done at Carson, and it's really cool. You just send it to a space name and get it that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. How about this? Let's say you have a UTXO, a space, and it has 1,000,000 Satoshis in it. Can you divvy that up in such a way? Can you send from that space? Can you choose which space you want to send from?
So you mean, so you have some money in your wallet, and you want the recipient to know which of the spaces you own you want to act as?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, this is essentially a reverse lookup. So the recipient will have to see your Bitcoin address, do a reverse lookup, and then find your space. And we have initial support for this in Fabric. And you will technically you could even do it by querying the like the spaces node. So yes, you could do this, and like in your wallet, you will be able to select which space you want to act as the one that shows to people. That is, if you are okay with revealing this kind of information.
Okay. Oh yeah, I like that option. So if we have a couple spaces, we can select which ones. So is that listed in the documentation somewhere? How to do that? How to select?
I mean, there is no like you could. There's documentation for publishing reverse records on Fabric right now. But again, I mean, we should have like a SIP defined to explain how the clients would support that. There's no support for this in the Spaces wallet, but eventually we will have it.
Okay, I see. I see. Okay. Well, that's good though. That's good news that it's at least a possibility. So again, thank you both for all your work. I appreciate it. That's it for me.
Thanks. Yeah, and thanks again for helping out with making the videos and stuff. All right. Does anyone else have any questions or want to discuss anything? If so, raise your hand.
I was hoping to drop a link while we're on the session, but it doesn't look like the people that are helping me out in Start 9 are responding with the fact that I've packaged up a 07 release for Start 9 installation. So it should be available on the Apple or the Alpha Marketplace, which is not something that is by default available. You have to go into the in your Start 9 to the Marketplace tab on the left, and you have to add it manually. But it will be there shortly, and I have tested it on mine, and it seems to work swimmingly. I have not yet added the Fabric stuff to it, but I plan to do so here directly. But I have tested. I tested Buffer that pull request that we discussed and was able to verify it. So I feel pretty confident I can have that running pretty quick. So so yeah, then at least then you have a Fabric node. I don't know what do you call it when a Fabric node is just kind of running in slave mode. It's not really participating in the root's peers, but it is available, right?
Yeah. So like for a Fabric node, I mean, to help the network, it would need to have a public IP address and port. So this is kind of a bit challenging to do with like at home, because you'd have to like configure your router to open a port for it. But
doesn't it punch through from behind the behind like a NAT layer truss? Like most people are set up that their stuff running locally is behind a NAT routing.
Yeah. So you
I mean, doesn't it work
you,
similar how Bitcoin node works, where it kind of can reach out, find peers, and then keep a port open because it's established the outbound connection, blah, blah.
Yeah, so you could, it does do hole bunching for TCP. So you could serve you could serve an HTTP server even from home. And it will be able to do like the bunch through without any route configuration. But I mean, for a useful node that is like accessible and easily reachable by other peers, it probably like hole bunching over UDP isn't that reliable. So if someone like wants to contribute nodes to store records for others, it's probably best to like have an open port or even put it on some kind of like cheap server somewhere.
Right. So not to get off topic if you feel I'm drifting here, but working with the Start 9 team, they currently use Tor as one of their mechanisms for exposing services. But in the next release, the next major release that they're going to be putting out, which I'm currently alpha testing, is going to use a direct IP port addressing, and eventually they will have a setup such that it will set up a VPN to like an externally a small shim that's running on like a cloud service somewhere. So you'll have an external IP address that's visible on the broader internet, and have it tunneled into the services running on your device behind your NAT firewall. That's yet to come, but if in the interim, as soon as this next major version comes out, with a little bit of port forwarding, you can effectively get the same thing working in for those that are a little more adventurous, right? That might want to try that out. And Umbrel, although I haven't tested the Umbrel package for the 07 yet, but that also works in a similar way. So similar sort of manual setup could be accomplished in terms of providing a fabric node that participates in the seeding and sharing.
That's very cool. So are they doing some kind of like a mesh network similar to like Tailscale?
Yeah, they're experimenting with some, I can't remember what it is, but it is similar to like Tailscale, right? Where there's a service that's running in the cloud that you are effectively leveraging to tunnel your traffic across on a outbound established mechanism. So I don't know what the details are, but it sounds pretty useful because and they are as well working on a router product, right, that you could drop into your home network as the main router, which would also alleviate some of these port forwarding issues. But that's further down their list of things that they're working on. So I don't expect that product to come out for probably a year. In the interim, though, something like what you described, like Tailscale or something else might be an interim sort of solution that gets us a little more. I mean, I guess the more nodes we have kind of that are operating on the public internet and are addressable, then the more, coverage and, resiliency we'll have in the fabric sort of network.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So I'll keep on this, but for now, the client, the existing stuff will be in the next release. And I'll throw a note on the Telegram chat when I've got confirmation that it's available.
Cool. Thanks for packaging that up and everything.
Yeah, no problem. Anything kind of future forward-looking strategy? Marketing blitzes coming? Still, you anticipate another version? Some of the things you might be working on the next release.
Well, yeah, I mean the GUI wallet. Well, so like I said, the GUI wallet and then subspaces are the two main things that we're doing. And in terms of marketing and stuff, I mean, we're going to some BitDevs stuff. So that's one goal, is to go to more of these BitDev meetups and talk about spaces. And after that, I'm hopeful that, building these integrations and people see how it works with Nostr, how it's like really helpful in a lot of ways and better and more like self-sovereign and stuff, and maybe also with like, BIP 353 with the human readable wallet addresses. So yeah, but yeah, I think once we have this, subspace, once we have subspaces, then it becomes like, then it becomes, we've kind of realized the vision, and then it's about building on it and just using it in the way that it's intended to be used, where all these things that are relying on centralized naming, like usernames or DNS, just like building on top of those and showing people how it's way better. Like, the Bitcoin community, just showing them that. So yeah, and I saw that you're going to be presenting at the BitDevs in Atlanta. So yeah, I'm hoping to also come there. So
great. Well, the more I can show, the better. And I typically put together a deck to kind of lay out some of the concepts and stuff, and it's usually about 45 minutes and plus question, or including questions. If there's any material that you want to include, or as I'm working on it, maybe we'll just share it back and forth a little bit, see if I'm not wandering off track or anything. But yeah, I would love to get the fabric stuff in there, and the subspaces, and the zero knowledge proof part, or at least enough to explain where it's going. I think that would be great. And got about a month to kind of prep for it, so it's not too far out. Also, I'm going to be volunteering for the Bitcoin conference in Vegas at the end of May. So I'm going to be out there. If anyone else is going to be out there, I'd love to hang with you. Or if there's opportunities to talk about and evangelize spaces, I will definitely look for those. So just kind of keep that in the back pocket as well.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's talk about the BitDevs meetup stuff.
Yep.
So
cool. And I guess I'd encourage anyone else. I mean, there's enough to talk about even now. I think other folks, or folks that are in your local area that might be interested. And as soon as I've got some material, I'm happy to share it. So
awesome. Sounds good. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Sounds good. Thanks for joining the call, and thanks everybody for your help. And if there's anything else you want to discuss or any questions, then the Telegram group is the best place. All right. Talk to you guys later. See ya.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right. So there we go. March community spaces in the books. A lot of things happening. Definitely hyped up about the top level spaces that you can use without the leading subspaces. Without a doubt, that's going to be a flex. That is going to make those top level spaces way cooler, way more valuable, just awesome. They're going to be, I mean, it's good. I wasn't sure at first. I thought every name had to have the leading subspace, but as more and more they're talking about it, I'm learning about them. It sounded like, well, I guess you could use these top level spaces. You don't need a leading subspace. You could just use the top level space, and boom, you can. So that's awesome. Space is compatible with Lightning. That's great as well. Noster, get that in there. Andrew doing great work. He's speaking at the BitDev conferences, going to Bitcoin Las Vegas 2025. Shout out to Andrew, doing great work. He's working with the Start9 team, trying to get Spaces protocol integrated there. That's awesome. And there's just a lot to learn. You know, I'm not really the most technical guy, so maybe some of my questions come off as, not smart. I don't know. But we all understand things differently. So I asked some things to clarify the way my brain works, the way I'm thinking, can you spend Bitcoin, send it from your Spaces wallet to an outside wallet? That might seem like a dumb question, and maybe it is, but I just wanted to verify, and because I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to send like 1,000 Satoshis or 10,000 Satoshis. I'm going to do it, but I just wanted to ask before to see if I could do it, because in their example, it has a space at Bob. So I wasn't sure if it had to be space to space, or can you actually send it from your Spaces wallet to somebody else, and then they could use that to send it to their Spaces wallet or whatever. If you just wanted to give somebody some Bitcoin, if they wanted to try out, maybe buy a space or get started, that's what I was thinking. So that's cool. That's good that you can, because then it would be like a Ponzi scheme. You know what I mean? Like once you're in Spaces, you can never leave. Once you get your Bitcoin into Spaces, you can't get it out. That would be a problem. That would be a major red flag. So I just wanted to double check that we're all good there. So a lot of good stuff coming. It takes time though. You know, like I was saying, man, people just don't care. They want to see it. They want to have it. They don't really want to be involved in the building and the this and the that. They just want to be like, man, wake me up when tomorrow comes, you know, wake me up when it's Christmas. And I get it. But for me, this is fun, actually. I like doing this stuff, getting in here. And I'm not the most technical, but hey, I got a node up and running. I got spaces up and running. I updated spaces, which actually turned out to be a whole heck of a lot easier updating from version 5 to 6 than I thought. All you got to do is copy 2 files and put them into place. That's it. That's all you got to do. I thought you had to do something crazy, reinstall, because Linux is crazy, man. Linux, it's not like you just double click on an executable and it just installs. You know, you gotta have some terminal command line knowledge, and you gotta do these. I don't know. There's some things. Some things are easy, I guess, because you can just install certain stuff, but some things are harder. And I'm learning. It's fun to learn. So I'm going through these documents, spacesprotocol.org. I'm going to learn about Fabric. I'm going to try stuff. I might lose a couple Bitcoin or, you know, a few thousand Satoshis in the process. I better not lose a couple Bitcoin. But, you know, a few thousand Satoshis in the process, sending it to people that I know just to entice them, like, yo, try this thing out. Here's, you know, 20,000 Satoshis. I think that's like $20 or something. Here's 20,000 Satoshis. Try it out, dude. You know, maybe here, it's waiting for you at this address. You know, install spaces. I'll show you whatever. I don't know. Just an idea I had. It might work on a couple people that I know, but maybe it won't work. I don't know. Maybe I should send it to one of my wallets and then, I don't know. We'll see. Just thinking out loud here. All right, that's it for this one. Thank you guys for watching.